Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. We're just going to wait a minute or two, see if anybody else will join, and then we'll start at about 3 minutes past 6. But thank you so much, and hello to those who have joined so long. It's very, very nice to see Kulimanko, and I'm not sure if I'm saying your name right, but Laika. So welcome to you guys, and we'll just wait and see if anybody else is going to join. Okay, guys, I think we can start. I don't see anyone else joining in the session, so we may as well just get started. A very, very warm welcome to everybody who will be listening to the recording. I hope that you find the session insightful and valuable. So we are going to be looking at the ENTP 6212, so the Entrepreneurship 2B module, and we are going to be doing an in-depth sort of discussion and take a look at the first assignment. Okay, so we're going to be going through the first assignment in order to complete it. Remember that the assignment is due on the 10th of September, so we've still got some time to prepare for it, but it's a good time now to start looking at the assignment and actually, start unpacking it and start looking at what it is that is going to be expected of you from the assignment. So I'm hoping at this stage that most of you have downloaded the assignment or at least had a look at it and started getting your ideas about the idea that you want to do around your assignment and started gathering some of your information that you will need for the assignment. So what I'm going to do this evening is I'm going to go through the assignment question by question. We're going to unpack it step by step. And then at any stage, if you have a question, please either put your hand up, put your microphone on, or type the question in the chat box. For those of you who will be listening to the recording, if you've got a question after we have finished the session, please feel free to email me the questions. I know that there have been some questions that I still need to email. So I think if you are one of those students who have emailed me, I know that there were some queries from about Thursday last week that I haven't responded to yet. So I will get to those ASAP as well. Okay, so let's get started. It's a very nice assignment. You'll see the assignment 1 and assignment 2 both sort of revolve around the same concept, and the concept is a community garden. Okay, so for this entrepreneurship project, you have to come up with an idea for a community garden. So you need to think of a way in which you can create a community garden that's going to, in the first place, benefit the community, but also generate an income. So that's our goal for assignment 1. We're going to write it as if it were a report. So we're going to look at it as if we're going to be writing a report. We're going to address our report to the Chamber of Commerce. So we want to try and find different investors in our metropolitan area so that we can get funding for this project. Okay, so we need to start up a project, And you'll see in the instructions that they give us, they say that we need to write this report because we are going to be looking at potential finances. So we want to try and find potential investors for it. You can be as creative as you want with this project. You can be as diverse as you want with the project itself. Okay, so this is kind of the instructions that we would have here. During your studies, you have decided to establish a community garden within communities across South Africa. You would want to start a garden that is local to you. You want to try and have a number of community gardens that can all positively contribute towards the well-being of the community that you are surrounded in. Okay, so you need to make sure that your ultimate goal is to have these unique community garden projects that can positively contribute towards the social well-being of the society in. So you can be as creative as you want. The whole goal for this project is, like they say here in the exact words, is the whole goal is going to be to obtain finances from investors to support the project. Okay, so in order to get this finance from your investors, you need to write a report in which you are going to address these questions as part of the assignment. Okay, so you need to be writing a report that you can present to investors so that you can actually get financing. Obviously, you need to do references, and we are going to be looking at. So they give us a word limit. So they say anything between 1,200 and 1,800 words. Obviously, that's excluding the references, it's excluding the cover page and everything like that. So that is just the work itself that you are going to be looking at for that. Okay, so just to give you a picture, just to remind you that we are creating a garden. It can be any garden. So you can see the picture that is on the screen is obviously a vegetable garden, but you can focus on one particular project you can do, or one particular type of garden, or you can do any type of garden that you can. So you can choose to do one, or you can do a general garden with a diverse project range, or you can be specific and have a unique garden with one product offering or very specific product offering. So your first step is obviously to decide what type of garden am I going to do? Because remember, this is the garden that you're going to use for your whole project. So what type of community garden am I going to establish? Am I going to establish a vegetable garden and then sell the vegetables for a profit to the community? Am I going to establish a rose garden where I will cultivate 3 different types of long stem roses, teach the community to plant those roses and cut and sell them, or supply weddings or for bouquets, however it may be? Am I going to do succulents? So am I going to specifically do a succulent garden where I can get the community people to build the little wooden boxes to put the succulents in? It can be absolutely any garden. Okay, so you need to try and create as many of them as possible around your city and around your communities, but obviously we're going to start off with one. Okay, so you're first going to start off with one community garden that you now need funding for. So obviously you can't pour all your own money into a project like this. You've got to try and get finance for this project, and that is why we are doing this assignment, because the whole purpose of the assignment is to get that funding from the investors. So you'll see in the assignment there are 6 questions that you are going to address. Most of these 6 questions come straight from your textbook or part of your textbook, and you can also research it as well. But it's important for us to just then have a cover page. So this is how your general instructions would be. Your report is going to have a cover page. On your cover page, you're obviously going to have your name, your number, your student number, the date, the module code, and the title of the project. So maybe the name of your community project that you have, or the title of your report. Okay, then you will have a general introduction towards the question. So a small introduction that's going to introduce your community garden, the project that it is. You're going to look at some of the questions that you will be addressing. So if there are any definitions that you need to include here in the introduction, it's a general introduction as to what is going to be happening in the report. What am I going to read about in the report? So your introduction needs to be about 250 or 300 words, and you'll see at the end of our assignment, we're also going to have a conclusion. So we have a general introduction where we're going to introduce the topics that we're going to speak about. We're going to have a general introduction about what the garden is about and how the project is going to be structured. And then you'll see we'll start in with the questions. So then we jump into the actual questions here of what they are going to be done. Just give me 1 second. I just want to double check. I see my page numbers didn't pop through here. So if you just give me 1 second, I just want to go and put the other slide on. So just wait 1 second. Sorry guys, I see that this originally did have some page numbers in here, but I see it didn't transfer onto the slide. So I'm just going to go with it. I'll just come back and add them on as I'm busy speaking to you as well. So remember that all of this comes from our textbook. So you'll see in our textbook, we're going to deal with all of them. You'll see here, I've just indicated the chapters. I do have the page numbers as well. So as I'm going, I'm just going to add them in as we're going about. So you'll see in your report, you are going to highlight 6 different concepts. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So these are the 6 questions, if you will like, that we are going to be answering in the report. So you're going to have your general introduction that you're going to write, and then I would suggest that you write question 1, question 2, just so that the markers, remember, it's not always me that's going to be marking, it also gets moderated, and it's just nice to be able to see which question you have answered. So please do put in those subheadings. It can either be the name of it, so types of entrepreneurs, or you can just say question 1, just so that the marker knows exactly which question you are answering, even though you are writing it as a report. Okay, so the first question says, look at or present the various types of entrepreneurs, step 1, and choose one that best aligned to you. Okay, so in entrepreneurship, we have many different types of entrepreneurs. We've got entrepreneurs that have started because their families have been entrepreneurs. We've got entrepreneurships that have started from scratch. We've got entrepreneurs that have started because there was necessity. So they are necessity entrepreneurs. There is no other choice for them. We've got entrepreneurs that have started because they had a great idea for what it means. So whatever opportunity has arisen, there will be a type of entrepreneur. Some entrepreneurs will be franchisees, so they will own a franchise. Some of them will be, like we said, second entrepreneurs. Some of them will be social entrepreneurs. We get women entrepreneurs. So you need to look at different types of entrepreneurs and choose which one most align to you. Okay, so you'll see in your textbook roundabout page 13 to 15, I just want to add, because I've got them written down, so I'm just adding them in here. So we've got page, it starts at about 11 to 15. They speak about different types of entrepreneurs. If you had to Google, you would also see there are many different types of entrepreneurs. So the first thing is you need to analyze the types of entrepreneurs. So look at the difference between the types of entrepreneurs. Start giving me some information about what the types of entrepreneurs are, what are some of their characteristics for each of the types of entrepreneurs. Try and figure, so present an analysis. In other words, look at the differences between, like I say, a social entrepreneur, a necessity entrepreneur, an innovative entrepreneur, a woman entrepreneur. Okay, so look at the different types of entrepreneurs and choose which one best aligns to you. Was this a business that you got passed, that was passed down to you? Was it a business because you saw a need in society and so you set up something? Was it from necessity because you didn't have any money, you couldn't feed your family, so you had to start up a business, a necessity entrepreneur? So first, step one, explain the different types of entrepreneurs, and then explain the one that best aligns to you. So you can see our mark breakdown is quite high here. So we are looking at a whole 20 marks. So I always tell the students those 20 marks are half and half. So 10 marks for looking at different types of entrepreneurs and 10 marks for choosing which one is going to be best aligned to you. So which type of entrepreneur are you going to be best suited for as well? So a nice introduction paragraph, what types of entrepreneurs are there and what type of entrepreneur would you be, okay, in light of this project, okay? So in light of the project, what type of entrepreneur are you going to be aligned to, okay? And then you'll see in the next question for our thing that we get, they ask us to look at a discussion of different characteristics as part of it. So the question reads, provide a discussion around your motivations and your perceptions related to establishing a community gardens project within your community and later on in many communities across South Africa. Okay, so what are your motivations and perceptions about starting this business? Okay, so what are some of your motivations and perceptions related to owning a small business? So what are your perceptions about why would you want to own your own business? Why would you want to start a business? What are some of your motivations to go into the field of entrepreneurship, to become your own boss? What are some of the things that would motivate you to be an entrepreneur or to own a small business? And what are some of your perceptions? Okay, remember here that your perceptions might be wrong. You might have incorrect perceptions. You might think that being your own boss is so divine, you can sleep until 10 o'clock every day, it's not that hard. Wrong. Okay, so what are some of your perceptions, some of your motivations? So what would motivate you in order to start a company? You'll see that on page, I'm just going to put the page number in here so that you've also got it. Chapter 1, we're still on page 20. They give you a whole diagram on exhibit, what's it now, 1.2. They give you a whole diagram of different motivations. They speak about personal motivations. They speak about personal satisfaction. They speak about wanting to be independent. They speak about wanting to be financially satisfied or financially rewarded, being your own boss, being in control of your own future, building personal wealth, having the ability to grow in a business, being respected, being recognized. Okay, so those are some of the motivations why we would start our business. And of those, you need to speak about 10 to 12 sentences in which you are going to provide your motivations and your perceptions of starting our own business in relation. Remember, everything is in relation to this community, your community garden. Okay. Then we have a look at the third question. Please, at any point, guys, stop me. It feels like I'm going through it so quickly, but please let me know if there are any questions. So our third point that we need to look at tells us to provide a detailed explanation of how you would establish integrity in these projects to ensure that communities do not take advantage and use it for the wrong reasons. Okay, a very, very valid point, a very valid concern that we would have in this community project. Imagine you established this whole beautiful vegetable garden for your community, and one Saturday the entire community comes and picks everything before it has even fully grown, and now there's nothing left in the garden. So how are you going to establish integrity? Okay, so here you'll see there is a little bit of information that I'm going to go through in the textbook, but it really is your own interpretation. What are you going to do in the business in order to establish integrity? So what can you do in order to teach the people, the community, to use the garden in the correct way, to make sure that there's ethics within the garden? So you still want to care about everybody, you still want to make sure that there is a general sense of integrity, okay? That people are committed to not just using the garden, but also to being beneficial towards the garden. So how are you going to, remember, it's very challenging for us to instill integrity. So how are we going to ensure that we are instilling integrity within our business? Okay, so we need to lead with integrity. We need to instill values within the communities that we find ourselves in. We need to make sure that we are creating an ethical organizational culture. So I just want to put the page numbers. You'll see, guys, as a starting point, you can look at page, let me just type it up here, page 51 to 53. But you will have to do your own research here as well. So explain in detail, what can you do in order to make sure that you are instilling integrity within the business, okay? So remember, the goal of being having integrity as a business is that we are operating in an honorable way, we are respectable, we are being open and fair in all facets of our business that we are doing. We are worthy of this garden that we are going to get, and we need to make sure that we are instilling integrity in everybody that is part of the business and part of the community itself. So we need to make sure that we are establishing integrity, and the question is, how are you going to do that? How are you going to ensure that you are going to create this ethical organizational culture in which you can instill integrity within the business? So how are you going to have workshops for the community? Are you going to just lead by example? Are you going to select a few people, members of the community, and make them sort of leaders within the space and give them the responsibility to act in an ethical way towards the garden and coach others? So maybe divide them up into different teams. Those are just some ideas of how we can actually establish integrity within the business. Okay. So again, we have a 10-mark question where we are explaining in detail the integrity within the business. Then our next question is another big question. So you'll see it's our second 20-mark question. A big question, but ladies and gents, you'll be happy to know that this is a relatively easy question, because you'll see a lot of the work in this question you have already done. So you already know the work that has been covered within this within this question. So the first part you'll see is a business environment, and then we're going to be looking at a SWOT analysis. So what is a SWOT analysis in our business? Okay, so we're first going to be looking at the business environment. Remember, in our business environment, we have an internal environment and we have the external environment. So you need to analyze the business environment, look at the business environment in detail. So look at the internal environment, look at the external environment. This information comes from chapter 3, and you'll see it comes from the start of the chapter 3, which will then be on page 77. So it goes all the way till the end of chapter 3. There's a lot of information on it. Remember, our business environment, we have the inside environment and we have the outside environment, the internal and the external. You need to look at each of those environments. Then we have the industry environment, okay, which is our competitors, which is our suppliers, which is the rivalry within the business. So you're going to look at the industry environment as well. And then, very, very easy, conduct a SWOT analysis. Now, SWOT analysis is a business term that we use over and over again. It's not a new concept. SWOT obviously stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So you've got your strengths in your business, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. Now, it's important to realize that your business has not been established yet, so you need to preempt. In other words, you need to predict or forecast what are the strengths that you have, what are some of the weaknesses that you might have, what are some of the threats that you are facing, and what are some of the opportunities that you can grab. So weaknesses could be financial weaknesses, lack of innovation, lack of marketing skills. Those could all be weaknesses that you may face. Remember, strength is the fact that this is an innovative idea, or you've got some strong personal contacts within the space. Perhaps you are very good at gardening, so you've got a deep sense of knowledge of creating, let's say, a vegetable garden, so you are very well versed in that. Opportunities, obviously, the opportunity is there to give back to the community. There's a favorable approach in what you are going to be doing. And obviously, you want to have the opportunity to expand into many other countries as also, or cities rather, so in different communities. So you're starting it for your local community, but remember, your goal is to try and expand it to other communities. The biggest threat that we always face is competitors. So competitors would always be a threat for us as well. Different demands of people, the ethical elements would be a threat here. The customers that change preferences, one day they want spinach in the garden, the next day they want lettuce. Okay, so that might be a threat that it would be. So very, very good question there, Laika, as well. You'll see for this one, obviously in this project, we don't speak too much about finances, but in assignment 2, we do need to generate an income. So it doesn't always have to be a profit, but we need to have the ability to make money so that we can pay for our overheads. Okay, so that is why specifically we are looking for funding. So in this project, we are trying to get investors because we're not going to make money out of this project. Okay, so that's not our main goal. Our main goal is to try and find investors into the projects that we can get started, but then obviously from that startup we can generate an income and pay for certain supplies and things that we may need for the business. So we don't have to show a profit, but yeah, like I say, we do need to have an investor so that at least we have money. It's an entrepreneurial idea is not good if you are putting all the money in yourself and you're getting no return from it. So there has to be some profit that is going to be generated at the end of the day from it. So I hope that makes a bit more sense. Perfect. And then you'll see, like I said, when we get to project 2, we speak a little bit more about the finances and all of that as well. Perfect, no problem. And then we take it one step further. So remember, our goal was to start one in our community, and then we need to try and have a few more of these gardens in and around that we would be looking at as well. Okay, so the next question is, hypothetically, let's say that we need to we now have got our project, let's say, in our local community, and then it grows and we can establish 3 or 4 more gardens and it becomes popular and we can now franchise. Remember, franchising is selling the name, oh sorry, that was a line right through there, selling a name of the business and operating under that name in the same model and looking at that as well. So let's take an example like McDonald's. McDonald's is a franchise. All the McDonald's will look the same. They'll serve the same food for the same price. So McDonald's is a franchise. They pay royalty fees to the McDonald's head office to be able to operate as McDonald's, okay? But McDonald's in itself cannot change its colors. It cannot offer anything unique or innovative because they are signed up to a franchise, okay? So any customer, they're getting the name, everybody knows McDonald's, whatever it may be, so they're getting a customer base because they have the name, okay? So you need to pretend or hypothetically speak, if we can call it that your business is going to franchise. Okay, so you are going to establish the franchise because obviously you are projecting, you are guesstimating that you want to open up these franchises in South African communities. And your job for this question is to describe both the advantages and the disadvantages of franchising. Okay, so what would some of the advantages be of franchising, and what are the disadvantages of franchising? So there's a lot of research on this. In your book on chapter 4, they speak a lot about franchising. So they start off with explaining what a franchise is, and then you'll see from page 101 onwards, they go into what they refer to, if I remember correctly, the pros and cons of franchising. Okay, so what are some of the pros and the cons of franchising? Okay, so you'll see there's quite a few pages there for those. Some of the advantages and the disadvantages. What are some of the benefits of having a franchise for this community garden? Maybe it's the name that we are getting. We are operating under the same thing. We don't need to make our own decisions. Disadvantages, lack of creativity, maybe not able to, maybe there's financial issues. It's expensive to open up a franchise. Maybe there are management issues within the franchise. But obviously, the positives would be that you have got the trade name, you've got training support, you know how the business runs, so you've got all that inside information that would come from franchising. So for 15 marks, again, you can split it. You are looking for 7.5 marks for advantages, 7.5 marks for disadvantages. Remember, it must be applicable to your garden project. So it has to be applicable to your garden project. And then the final step, they speak about, okay, so now you need to hypothetically say or pretend say that you have you've established this business and it's up and going, and now your family is quite interested in this business. They are very keen to participate in this project. They think it's very unique, and you want to make sure that that leadership success, in other words, that the community success within the project is there so that it can continue as well. So should you no longer want to be in charge of the project, that one of your family members can succeed with that, so that there is some sort of family succession within the business itself. So what are some of the things that you can tell your family or that you can explain to your family when it comes to leadership succession, so that you are able to make sure that there is family planning and succession within the business? Okay, so you need to look at succession planning, you need to understand succession planning, and you need to give it, you explain in detail why is leadership important in this business management. Why is it important for me as a leader to ensure that there is a plan for succession? So if I'm no longer there running this community garden, that there is someone who can take the leadership role. So in business management, we always need to make sure that even if we are the CEO, even if we are the sole franchisee, or we are the sole trader or the sole proprietor within our business, we always need to make sure that there is some sort of succession planning. If I'm no longer going to be in charge of the community garden, we need to ask ourselves, what is going to happen to the business? How can I ensure that the business can continue? What leadership measures can I put in place now to ensure that my business can still go on? Am I training someone already? Am I passing it on to a family member? So am I giving not my job, but am I passing my company over to someone, and am I teaching them in a leadership way? Are they learning from me because I am a good leader, that they are able to perform what I am doing within the business? What is my plan for succession? So once I've established this business, I need to ask myself, if anything had to happen to me, it could be that I simply do not want to be part of the business anymore. But remember, they are speaking about family businesses. They are speaking about being a good leader within a family business, so that any member is able to to take over the business, whether it be a brother or a sister or an uncle, or whatever it may be within the business, that they are able to take over and make sure that there's good leadership within that everyone knows what they do and how they can actually do it. So they don't explain, or they don't say whether it is a mum or a dad or a sister or brother. They just say a family member in the question. But you need to make sure that leadership success is evident in order to continue with this family success planning. And then obviously at the end of your report, you're going to have a conclusion. So it's important. Oh, sorry, guys, this is all from chapter 5. You'll see chapter 5 speaks about family, business, and leadership in great detail. So it's important to just then go through leadership. The most important pages, I would say, from here, start from page 1. Oh, let me just write it up. Page 136 onwards, where they speak about the process of leadership succession. They speak about looking at which family members are talented at certain things and how can you prepare your family members for succession. Okay, so how can you prepare the junior members, or the junior generation as they call them? How can you prepare them to actually take over the business? So you're going to, for 15 marks, write a lot about succession planning as well as leadership succession. So that's a very, very important topic that you need to speak about. Leadership succession. How can I make sure that I'm giving my business over to someone who is able to lead in the same way that I am able to lead? And then obviously, ladies and gents, you're going to end with a conclusion. So you're going to conclude at the end of the day. Write your conclusion. Provide a general conclusion for the questions. A short conclusion. Remember, there's that word limit, 250, 300 words, which is included in the whole total of your words. Please, please, please remember to reference. So remember, all references must be listed. Remember, if you've used AI, you've got to reference the AI. So please check your referencing guide on how to reference AI, because otherwise you're going to get flagged for unethical use of AI. So please make sure that you are referencing AI correctly. Remember that there are all those workshops that the librarians are hosting on referencing for AI. So please let me know if you are not sure, then I can get them to come and speak to you, this group again. So please make sure you are referencing everything, okay? They're very, very strict on unethical use of AI. There's been like a huge drive to make sure all students are using it ethically and referencing it. So you can't simply use it to do your work for you, but you're allowed to use it as a to consolidate your work and to try and rewrite certain things. You might have an appendix if you've got a graph or something, or maybe a picture of the community garden, or something like that. You can include it as an appendix. You don't need any pictures. They say, please refrain from using any pictures, but I know if you want to add in a picture to it, really is fine. You won't get minus marks for that. So that really is the project in detail. Remember, it is due on the 10th of September. So you're going to submit it via VC Learn before midnight. So remember to just make sure that you are getting it in on time. And good luck. So we've still got some sessions to work on it. I know this was a starting point. It feels like it was a lot of information all at once, but I hope it was somewhat helpful at least. So remember, we have got a session which is the week before. So we'll have another assignment session on the 2nd of September. So by that stage, you should be almost finished with your project, and you should have some extra questions for me on that day. So this recording will be available to everybody. Go refer back to it. I'll also put a soft copy up in your more resources folder so that you have the actual document as well with all the page numbers on it, so that you can also go and refer back to it. So we'll have another collab session on it. I've also got 2 videos that have got information on the franchising and the other leadership succession. So I will be going to post those as well in the next few weeks. So at least you've got some content. They're quite theoretically heavy videos, but at least they can also help a little bit with the theory. Okay. Let me know if there's any questions. I felt like I was just steamrolling through that, but I do hope that you found it helpful. Please let me know if there are any questions. I will stay online for a few minutes as well. Yeah, so if you've got any questions, do feel free to stay online and ask. If not, you're welcome to dismiss from the session and go and start working on your assignments. That's all from my side, everybody. No problem. Thank you, Kulu. Thank you, Leica. Good luck. Thank you, Esther. Oh, hi, Esther. I didn't see you joining there. Yeah, please let me know if you need absolutely anything. I'm always an email away, and I will always try and reply as quickly as possible. That's all from my side, everyone. Bye.